It wasn't supposed to be scary. Working overnight at the Hollow Creek Mall during Christmas season was just a chance to make some extra cash. I needed it, especially after moving back to my small hometown. Hollow Creek Mall had been a local staple when I was a kid, bustling with families and holiday cheer. But these days, it was mostly abandoned. Just a few stores hanging on, surrounded by empty, shuttered spaces. That night, it was just me and a guy named Jake, another part-timer. Our job was simple. Watch over the mall, make sure no one broke in or vandalized the place during the holiday rush. They even gave us little Christmas hats to keep the spirit alive. But the truth was, the mall had none. It was a tomb of flickering fluorescent lights, faded banners, and mannequins dressed in clothes no one wanted. Things started getting weird around midnight. Jake had gone to grab snacks from the vending machine on the first floor, leaving me alone in the security office. The monitors flickered as I absent-mindedly sipped my coffee, flipping through my phone. Most of the cameras showed empty hallways and darkened storefronts, except for the food court, where one lone Christmas tree stood, its colored lights twinkling faintly. That's when I saw it. A figure moved on one of the screens. Just a quick blur across the camera covering the toy store. I squinted, leaning closer. The figure darted out of frame too fast to make out any details. My heart started to race. "Jake?" I called into my walkie-talkie. Static. I tried again. "Jake, are you messing around?" Still nothing. Annoyed, I grabbed my flashlight and headed out. The mall was eerily silent, the kind of silence that made you aware of your own breathing. My footsteps echoed as I walked toward the toy store, the beam of my flashlight cutting through the darkness. The toy store was empty, at least at first glance. But then I noticed something odd, a small wind-up toy soldier standing in the middle of the aisle. Its key was spinning slowly, though I hadn't heard it wind up. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I nudged it with my foot, and it toppled over, lifeless. A sound broke the silence behind me, a faint giggle. I spun around, the flashlight shaking in my hand. "Jake, this isn't funny," I yelled. But my voice felt swallowed by the vast emptiness of the mall. The giggle came again, this time from the direction of the food court. Against my better judgment, I followed it. The Christmas tree in the center of the food court twinkled merrily, a bizarre contrast to the suffocating dread creeping up my spine. The giggle had stopped, but I felt like I wasn't alone. And then I saw it. A mannequin stood at the edge of the tree's light. Its pose was unnatural, one arm raised as if in greeting. Mannequins were nothing new in the mall, but this one wasn't supposed to be here. It was wearing an old-fashioned Santa costume, its face cracked and worn, with empty, hollow eyes staring straight at me. I shone my flashlight on it, and that's when I noticed something worse. Its head tilted, ever so slightly, as though acknowledging me. I bolted. I ran back to the security office, slamming the door behind me and locking it. My chest heaved as I tried to catch my breath, my hands trembling. On the monitors, the mall's empty halls stretched endlessly, except for one. The mannequin. It was standing in the middle of the hallway outside the office, its cracked face pointed toward the camera. I blinked, and it was closer. No, I muttered, backing away from the screen. The lights in the office flickered and went out, plunging me into darkness. My flashlight flickered on, the beam weak and unsteady. The air grew cold, my breath fogging as I turned toward the door. The sound of footsteps echoed outside, slow, deliberate. The door rattled violently. I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath, the flashlight shaking in my hands. The rattling stopped, replaced by silence, and then I heard it. A voice, low and raspy, whispering through the crack in the door. "Come out, it's Christmas," I screamed, dropping the flashlight. It rolled across the floor, illuminating the far corner of the room. The mannequin was there. Its hollow eyes stared at me, its arms slowly rising as if to embrace me. I don't remember much after that. When the morning crew found me, I was curled up in a corner of the security office, muttering about shadows and whispers. Jake was never found, and the cameras had been wiped clean. They shut the mall down soon after, but sometimes when I drive by the empty parking lot, I swear I can see a mannequin standing in the shadows, its hollow eyes following me. If you ever find yourself alone in a mall after dark, do yourself a favor. Don't listen for the giggles, and whatever you do, don't look back.